what I want to start with today is a little bit of a review, and I also want to talk about some reasons. So when I planned this class, when I planned like kind of what I want to do with this class, I broke up my circle geometry into three major sections. The one is circles and the center, which was week 1. And then my next one was circles and cyclic quads, which is what we're currently doing. So circles and cyclic quads, that was week 2. For week 1 was circles and the center. And then week 3 will be circles and tangents. And what I try to do in these weeks is I try and give you the main facts, or what we call theorems, that you have to know in order to do questions involving circle geometry. And a lot of the questions, at least the entry-level questions, are always going to be about finding angles and giving reasons or how you found those angles. So a lot of the early stuff is like that. And as you get better at it, you'll start talking about things like proving questions, like proving something is a cyclic quad or proving something is a tangent. And we often call those the converse theorems, but we're not going to get to that until we're ready. So that's kind of what we've been doing. But when we are learning things, we do need to start to be aware of the reasons or the fact names that we use. And so I'm gonna share this in Google Classroom this week, but I'm just going to show you some of the theorems that we've spoken about. So maybe I'll just touch on them very quickly. So one of the theorems you need to be aware about is when you have a triangle, there's the theorem of Pythagoras, and I think most students are kind of aware of that. Then we also have to be aware that you have radii in circles, which is important. We spoke about this one. If you have a line from the center perpendicular to a chord, it cuts the chord in half. If you have a line from the center to the midpoint of a chord, it hits that midpoint at 90 degrees. So the pictures kind of show you what's going on. I'm going to leave this one out, the other one for now. Then there's the angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. And then today, the theorem we're going to be focusing on is going to be angles in the same segment. And it's kind of sometimes called the butterfly theorem. And what it really does is it says, look, if you've got this like butterfly shape, then the part up here, will be equal, and the part over here, I know you can't see it that well, over here and here will be equal. And I'll talk more in detail about that. This one over here is a converse theorem, which I'll deal with later. Then we also spoke about angles in a semicircle. So basically, if you have a diameter and you make a subtended angle at the circumference, you get 90. So that's something which, if you see in previous lessons, okay, we'll leave out converse. Then if we've got equal chords, they subtend equal angles. So we've done that one previously. And then opposite angles in a cyclic quad. Well, this was the last lesson. The opposite angles add up to 180. And in a cyclic quad, the exterior angle is equal to the interior opposite. So we also spoke about those two. So those are the main ideas that we've covered so far. And I just wanted you to give me a sense of how well do you think you understand those things out of 10? So if you've got those things that I've highlighted, give me a score out of 10 about how well you understand those facts or ideas. Do you know what they are? Would you recognize them? Give me a score out of 10. Then I know kind of what journey we should go on today. So I want to see my people voting. Gunda, Kwena, Manila, Naledi, Molo, Mfundo, Otta, Tenda. It's your chance to shine. Let's do this. Okay. Let the people vote. You know, it's almost time to vote in South Africa. Can any of you vote yet? Are you 18 maybe? Okay. Okay, the people have voted. Fantastic. Okay, so let us go to the questions for today. So here is the main fact or idea for today, and that is what we call the angles in the same segment theorem. And basically what you have is you have an arc or you have a chord between these 2 points. The arc is kind of in red. You can see it here. And if you subtend an angle, or you start an angle from the two end points of an arc, and you go up here, you'll get 48. But if you go anywhere else, you also get 48. Now, oh my goodness, people, look at this. It doesn't even matter where that is. So as long as they're subtended at the circumference, they are 48 degrees. And you know what? The angle down here, for the same reason, will also be the same as that one. So this is called the angles in the same segment, or angles on the same arc theorem. And this is kind of the way I would present it, like this. You just say angles in the same segment. Now, what you'll notice is the reason I put it in the week with cyclic quads is that A, B, C, D is in fact a cyclic quad. Hey? It's just one of those more interesting looking cyclic quads where it sort of crosses over each other, but that is a cyclic quad. And that's why it's in the cyclic quad week that we're dealing with. Okay, let's do a question. First of all, what is the size of angle X going to be? You pop that in the chat for me. What is the size of angle? This is like a warm-up question. What do we get there? Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, there we go. There it's coming through. Okay, indeed. X is 40 degrees, and the reason is just going to be angles in same segment. And just to show you how this works, the arc that is important is going to be this arc here, or you could say the chord that's important is going to be here. And that is where you start making your angles. And you can see that that one is 40, and you can see this one is based at the same place. And the reason, oh, that's not the best writing, is it? Okay. The reason it's called angles in the same segment is that the one segment is just sitting over here on this side of the chord. It's a really small segment. And then everything else is on the other side. And so all the angles are, it's these angles that are in the same segment on this side. Okay, but that's the reason. Okay, so let us, I think this one on the left is too easy. I want you to find me X and Y from this question. And notice, what are these little arrows here? What are they telling me? So put your answers in the chat. And tell me what you get for X and what you get for Y. What do you get for X? What do you get for Y? So be careful here, because this one over here goes with that one over there. And this angle over here will go with this angle over here. Okay, but I think you guys are correct. So we will say that X is 50 degrees, but I want to know, maybe somebody can even turn their microphone on and tell me, what is the reason for this? I'm not going to use angles in the same segment. I have to use a different reason. What's the relationship between this 50 and this X? Just give me the, yes, Numfundo, well done. Ulterior angles, and then you must also name your parallel. Okay, but they don't have parallel lines here, but normally you would say something like whatever parallel lines you're using, and then you can say Y is 50, and that would be angles in same segment. And then 4 marks in the bag for you. How fantastic is that? Okay, my champions, it is time to make things a little more exciting. So we are going to do number 1 and 2 to start with. Let's make it nice and big so we can draw pretty pictures. And I want you to find me the value of B, and I want you to find me the value of A. And then in question 2, I want you to find the value of C, and I want you to find me the value of D. And I would love a question if you are feeling confused. That option, you just pop your hand up or unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'm leaving it to you. You can fly solo on this mission. Now here, there are no parallel lines, so we need to be a bit more careful. We do know this one though. So I think I would try and get what A is first. Pop your answers in the chat. There we go. First answer coming through. I think, wait. Did I see it? No. So, Nogumulo, yep, it is 27 degrees. And the reason is going to be angles in same segment. So that's 27. Otherwise, if you don't have hand space to type things, just say done when you're done with B, C, and D, so I know you've completed those questions and you're ready to move on. So B would be 30, and that will be angles in same segment. Okay, what do we have for C and D? I'll wait for done's or for you to let me know in the chat that you have an answer. Nice, Gundo. Very, very nice. Oh, you're talking about, okay, yeah. So, okay, now this is an interesting one with number 2, because if I look at the 20, this is going to be the arc that matters. And so if that's the arc that matters, I make an angle here, and I get that, and then I make an angle up to here, and I get 20. And so I agree with Gundo that it should be, well, C should be 20, and that will be angles in same segment. Okay, angles in same segment. So that will be, C will be 20. What is D going to be? So for D, you could even think of the arc being on this side. Maybe I should even do that, get rid of that. And if you then think of this angle here coming from the green arc and this angle here, it feels like D and 45 are friends. Yeah. So D will equal 45 degrees, and that will be angles in same segment. Okay, so that was a bit tougher, and I can feel in the class that definitely, give me a thumbs up if you followed me now. You understand why D and 45 are buddies, and this one over here and this one over here are buddies. Okay, fantastic. But that was a sneaky one. I'm sure I caught a few of you. But that's part of learning, isn't it? Okay, let's do 3 and 4. And just to calm everyone down, because I know it's a lot there, we're looking for C, E, and D. But you can see that you have a cyclic quad, which has its 4 points like this. You have some angles they've given you, and I'll give you some time to work through that. Let's try and find the friends of C. Who would C be friendly with based on this shape? I'll give you a little hint. I think this chord is the chord that subtends angles that will help you find C's friend. Go and find C a friend there. Which angle is going to be friends with C? So if we look and we make an angle using the end points of the yellow arc, that gives us the angle C. But then the other one, if I go from here, seems to me to go all the way up to there. So who is C's friend going to be? I think C is going to be 58 degrees, and that's going to be angles in the same segment. So C is indeed 58. I hope those colors were helpful. But now you need to find friends for E. And I'll give you a hint for this one. I'm going to say to find E a friend, I think this chord that divides it into the major segment and the minor segment is a good thing to help you find a friend for E. So put your answers in the chat or let me know how it's going. So just so I have some sense of how that works. So there's the angle 30, and there is an angle subtended by the blue chord over here, and it feels to me that E must be 30 angles in same segment. Okay, so E as a friend, C as a friend. What about D? What is D going to be? So if I look at D, it feels like the chord that is probably the thing that's going to be, the angle is going to be based on is here. So I go from the blue one all the way up to D. And now I have to go up over here. And I can see that this angle over here, you can kind of see it in the butterfly wings here. So D will be 41 degrees, and that will be angles in same segment. Before I move on to number 4, it's very quiet in here. I want to get a feel for how you're feeling. Give me a score between 0 and 10. 10 is perfect. 0 is I know nothing. 5 is I sort of know something. How are you feeling about this theorem so far? Okay, so we're on the right track. Let's go on to number 4. Um, we're just going to keep going at this pace today because we're building our understanding. So on to number 4, but I want to see you put your answers in the chat so I know kind of, or you can just say I'm stuck if you're stuck. I like to choose an angle to find a friend. So Where would I start with this one? Interesting. I feel like this arc could be the base on which I find a friend for 40. So let's start with that hint. Can you find me what f is equal to if I use that arc as a I do like using my colored pens. I'm not gonna lie. So it feels like this is based on the yellow. So the fancy word is the yellow arc subtends the angle 40 at the circumference, but it also subtends the angle F at the circumference. So these guys or girls are friends. And so F equals 40 angles in same segment. Okay, so we know this is 40. Which one should we find next? Ooh, I've just remembered I don't think we need to use circle geometry. We can use triangle geometry now. Which one should I find next? Let me know in the chat. Should I go do G or should I do H? I've just remembered these are triangles. And so when you have triangles, yes. So this is a triangle, and we know all triangles add up to 180. So my reason is just sum of angles in triangle. What am I going to get for G? Oh, yes. Well done, Gundo. G and H are friends. Oh, that you're quite right. Okay, I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. But let's just get G first, because I agree. Gundo's pointed out that actually G and H are in that same sort of butterfly relationship. I can, absolutely, Dylan. Okay, so if I look at this yellow arc over here, this arc over here, we say it subtends the angle at the circumference of 40, and we can see how it almost, subtending is a fancy word for making an angle of 40. But this same arc, yellow arc, can make the theorem angles in the same segment, or sometimes called the butterfly theorem, says that the angle up here will be exactly the same as the one that you make at the circumference here. Now, I think you might have missed the first bit of this lesson, so have a look at that and you'll see how I kind of talk about it a bit. But hopefully that helps a little bit. Okay, so we have 55 degrees for G. Now we have two choices. We can use vertically opposite angles to find this. So these are equal, and then find H. Or we can say, look, this is what Gundo actually saw, is that this is an arc on this side, and it will subtend the angle here of 55, but using that blue arc, you can subtend the angle over here. And so H must also be 55 degrees, and that's going to be angles in same segment, or what we call it's sometimes called the butterfly theorem, but you can't write that as a reason. But it kind of looks like a butterfly. But you have to make sure you know which ones go with which. So for example, like here, this one goes with this one, and this part here goes with that one. Okay, I'm very happy with your progress, but I think in order to have a productive next part of the lesson, we need an exercise break. And so I want you, before we even get to the brain break puzzles for today, I want you to join me in turning on your cameras. I would love to see my students, and I want you to stand up with me and just join me in a bit of relaxation and unwinding. I know sometimes students in my classes, they roll their eyes because they feel like, what is this man doing again? But we know that our brain learns better when we're relaxed. We don't learn well when we're stressed and we're tight. So we have to learn how to kind of train our body to relax. So this is what this is part of. Okay, let's take 3 deep breaths to kind of get going. Or in fact, let's just loosen up. If you've got any tension in your shoulders, just shake out your arms. Let go of the stress of the day. Shake out this arm. I often hear the drama teacher at my school doing this with students. I always think, oh, they're having such fun. Why can't we do it in maths as well? And let's roll our shoulders. Roll our shoulders. There we go. Roll them back and then roll it forward. Okay, so now we're loose. Now we're going to take some nice deep breaths. We're going to breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay, so we've got some oxygen. Let's just do some tricep stretches. So like this. Okay. Other side. Okay, and then shake out the hands again. Nice and loose. Hands out to the side, and you're going to gently rotate from the middle, and just gently, you don't want to crack anything, but as you relax, your body will naturally turn further. Okay. And then last bit of the exercise part of the break is just 15 jumping jacks to get our heart rates going. We go 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And give yourself a moment to recover. Cool. Awesome. Awesome, Gundo. You were smashing it there. Well done. And then just a little puzzle to let our brains wander a little bit. What do you think the two different types of question marks are going to be here? I'm not sure if I've ever looked at this one before, but see if you can figure it out with me. Oh, my heart is pumping. I feel like there's many answers to this one, actually. No, I think I'm going to rather go, this one's an open end. Let's do the McDonald's one. So what is a burger plus a set of fries times a milkshake? Yeah, Nomfundo, you smashed it. It's going to be a 6 plus 6 is 12. I just thought it could be a whole bunch of answers, but let's go with the McDonald's one. Okay, Naledi has helped us. A milkshake is 10, 10, 10. So all the milkshakes are 10. What is a burger going to be? Oh, let me put my camera back too. So 5, 5, 5 for the burgers. Now there's different sets of chips. So how much is one pack of chips going to be worth? So Danielle, Dylan, yep, okay. So there's 1, 1, 1, 1. So what is my final answer going to be? Bearing in mind, I need to use BODMAS. So remember, this is a 1, and we know with BODMAS that multiplication has to come first before addition. So the 1 times the 10 must happen before we add the burger. So what is my final grand total going to be? It's going to be 5 plus 1 times 10, which is going to be 15. Well done. Yes, we have done it. So hopefully the next time you come across one of these pictures on the internet, you are ready to be a genius. Like all those questions say, like, you go, only geniuses can solve this. They always say that. Okay. Let us go back to our training ground. So I want you to find me the answer for A, B, and C. So you can see A is over here, B is over here, C is over there. Can you find me the answers for A, B, and C and put them in the chat? Notice again, we have a cyclic quad, and the cyclic quad is cyclic because all 4 points are on the circumference of the circle, and we seem to have a bit of this butterfly vibe going on. We don't have any centers of the circle. So at the moment, all we have is triangles and circles. I like where you're going, then, but the problem is there are no parallel lines here. So if there was a little arrow here and here, you'd be in business. But the problem is we don't have that. So we have to use our theorems that we've learned so far. And I'm going to give you a hint. So if you want to find a friend for A, why don't you try and use the green arc that I just highlighted? So what do you think A is going to be equal to? So we can see that A could subtend this angle at the circumference, and then A could match this one over here. And so this is equal to this. And so we say A is 32 degrees, angles in same segment. Okay, now you've got to find me B and C. Pop your answers in the chat. Be part of the journey. We know from studies of students and how they learn online that if they're active, they learn more. So just the act of participating helps your brain go, ooh, this is important. I better listen. Whereas if you're passive, your brain goes, don't know, it'll start daydreaming and it'll go to other stuff. So you want to be part of it, even if it feels a bit like, why am I doing this? You want to be part of the process. Okay. Nomfundo, Quena, has given some good ones. Oh, even C coming through. Nomkhumolo. Okay. So I think that I would go, which arc would I use? Where would I go next? If I wanted to find be a friend, I would say that this arc over here is kind of important. And if this arc was important, then B would be, we get that angle over there. So we get that one. Okay. And then we would also get the 80 down here. Sorry, I'm using my mouse because my graphics tablet is being a bit wonky. So we have, what do we have? Where have you gone, mouse? We're going to have B is equal to 80. And we'll use the same reason as before. So B is 80. And then the last one is C. What value is C going to be? I don't know if we can use the same theorem for C. What idea or theorem do we need to use for to find C? Probably something a little bit different. Sum of angles in a triangle. Exactly, yes. So C would be 180 minus, what else? Oh, 80 minus 80 for this one down here. And then this whole angle, so it would be minus 32 minus 25. Can someone put that in their calculator to help me? Sum of angles in triangle. And I need some help from the students in the room. What was it? 50, 130, 137. So I get 43 in my brain. Did you guys get 43? Nomfundo gets 43, Nomkhumolo does. Okay, I'm feeling confident. Let's keep going. Let's do number 6. So number 6 would be, can you find Z? Can you find X? Can you find Y? Let's do that one. And then if you're just smashing this out the park, you can have a look at 7 too. Now, where would I put my arc to help me? Or my chord, depending on which one I want to find a friend for. I think I'm going to find a friend for x. I'm going to use this chord instead of the arc as the base. And there's x, but I can also subtend an angle. Oh, no, that's not helpful because I've just shown you x and y is equal. So I don't think that's very helpful. What can I do? That's 96. I might be missing something, but like I can say that one is equal to that one, but I really want to connect things. So if I said to you, what is the red dot? Would you guys be able to get the red dot? What's the red dot going to be equal to? That's equal to 96. And the reason is going to be vertically opposite angles. Now, if I get that 96, the reason I was so keen on that is that now I have a triangle sum. And so I can say, look, y is 180 minus the 96 minus the 50. The reason will be sum of angles in triangle. What is my y value going to be then? It feels so 146, take away 180 minus 146, I get 34 degrees. But now once I found that that's 34, that helps me work out what x is. So what's my x going to be? I think x is 34 degrees, angles in same segment. Okay, so that's 34. Now, what about z? What is z going to be? Any good ideas for z? Anybody got some? My brain is properly working. Let's see if, I'm sure I can figure out something. So it feels to me like z would have a buddy that would go over here. Or, so part of me wants to sort of work out what that is. I don't know if someone has a quicker way, but I'm going to say, look, if I can work out what this green dot is here. How do I know what, now again, someone might see a quicker way, but what is the size of my green dot going to be? Who can tell me what the size of the green dot's going to be? I think these are angles on a straight line. And do you know anything about angles on a straight line? I think they have to add up to 180. So my green dot is equal to 180 minus 96, which is 84. And my reasons will be angles on straight line. Then, if I know that this is 84, I can work out what the blue dot is because I'm going to go 180 minus 40 minus 84, and that is just going to be sum of angles in triangle. So what is that going to be? 124, that's going to be 56. But now I know that Z must be 56 degrees, and that is angles in same segment. That was a bit of a toughie. I'm curious to know how well we got that one. So give me a score out of 10 for number 6 in terms of your understanding. 0 is no understanding, 10 is perfect, 5 is like sort of, I know sort of what's going on, but still feeling a bit unsure. Give me a score out of 10 so I know how my students are feeling and doing. All right, good. So we're on the road to really good understanding and we're getting there. So let's do number 7, and then maybe we'll do one more question after that. And I think then I'm gonna share the links for quizzes and all sorts of things. And we'll end for today. So for number 7, we have to find t. No, what are these things over here? What is this? Hmm. And this is a big angle here. That's 94. So maybe what they're sneakily telling you is you can work out what those two blue angles are. I think that's what those two stripes are for. They're telling you, can you work out what those two blue angles are on the road to figuring out what t is? So I think if this whole thing is 94, and these two are isosceles, and we can even call this x if you like, we can call these two things x, then you know that 2x plus 94 must equal 180. And the reason you know that is that you were given, you can say two sides equal, and you also know the sum of angles in a triangle will be equal to 180. So those are the two ideas that you're using. That means that my x is going to have to be, sorry, I'm just using my mouse now. It's going to be 180 minus 94 divided by 2. So what do I get for x? What do I get for x on my way to getting here? So I think 94, 36, I get 43. X is 43. So we know that is 43 and that is 43. Now, what is the angle T going to be, or little t rather? If I know that this one up here is 43 and this one is 43. Well, you can see that we can use this as the common, or the base, the chord, that then I subtend that, but I can also subtend that. And so this is 43 degrees, angles in same segment. And that's it. So that actually wasn't so bad. You just had to do a little bit about triangles first, and then you could do the angles in the same segment idea. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you're feeling like we can do one more question. Give me a thumbs down if you're like, I think it's done for today. Let's see what the people say. Okay, let's do one more question here. Or let's do two more, rather. So I want you to find me, the value of x and y in question 4.1. And I want you to find me the value of x and y in question 4.2. And just pop your answers in the chat when you have got them. What do we think our answer is for those questions? Okay, so I think that x would be 40 because we are just using the arc AB, and y would be 40. So both of these will be 40, and it'll just be angles in the same segment. Now, what's more interesting is the second one. So x and y, what is x going to be? It feels to me like x has to be 45, and that will be angles in the same segment. And then the last question for tonight is y. How do we get y? I'm thinking back to the last lesson and alarm bells, or maybe the lesson before. There's something special about this big red angle. What does this angle have to be? I noticed that this is a center point. So this has to be a right angle. So we can say that BAD is 90 degrees, and the reason is an angle in semicircle. Angles, so I've seen two different textbooks, but angle in semicircle. And so if that's 90, then y must be 70, because 20 degrees was given. Okay, and that is tonight's lesson.